Officer Grant sat alone in the small cafe, staring at the untouched coffee in front of him. His uniform was dusty, his eyes hollow, his world falling apart. His 8-year-old son had been missing for 48 agonizing hours. He had spent 2 endless days searching for him, and still found nothing. Every search team, every drone, every K-9 unit had failed. Hope was slipping from his fingers like sand. But then, something unbelievable happened. A little girl no older than 10 approached his table with a German shepherd at her side. Her voice trembled, but her eyes were steady. "Sir, my dog can find your son." Officer Grant blinked, stunned. "Honey, that's not how police dogs work." "He knows where your son is," the little girl replied. He froze in disbelief. The girl wasn't a K-9 handler. She wasn't even related to the police. So how did she know? How could a child make such a claim? The dog's eyes locked onto the officer, as if he understood every word. And what happened next left the entire town speechless. Before we start, make sure to hit like, share, and subscribe. And really, I'm curious, where are you watching from? Drop your country name in the comments. I love seeing how far our stories travel. The diner was almost empty that morning, but Officer Grant felt like the whole world was pressing down on his shoulders. His uniform, once crisp and proud, was wrinkled and dusty. His eyes were swollen, the kind of exhaustion that comes only from 2 nights of no sleep and endless fear. His 8-year-old son, Ethan, had been missing for 48 hours. Every second felt like a lifetime. K-9 units from 3 counties had searched the woods, the lake, the abandoned farms, nothing. Drones scanned the fields, volunteers combed through neighborhoods, but Ethan had vanished without a trace. And as the hours passed, the chances of finding him alive grew smaller. Grant sat alone at the booth, staring at his untouched coffee. His trembling fingers tapped the table, each tap a silent prayer. "Please, let me find my boy." The bell over the diner door chimed softly. Grant didn't look up until a small voice broke the silence. "Sir?" He lifted his head to see a little girl, maybe 10 years old, standing beside a massive German shepherd. The dog's eyes locked onto Grant like he already knew his pain. The girl took a deep breath. "Officer, my dog can find your son." Grant froze. Those were the words he'd been desperate and terrified to hear. Officer Grant blinked at the little girl, unsure if exhaustion was making him hear things. "Sweetheart, what did you just say?" The girl squeezed the German shepherd's collar, her voice trembling but certain. "My dog can find your son. He's really good at it. He just needs something that belonged to him." Grant's chest tightened. "Honey, real K-9 work isn't that simple. Trained police dogs already searched the area." "I know," she said, stepping closer. "But they aren't Max." The dog, large, powerful, with steady amber eyes, took one step toward Grant and sniffed the air, as if recognizing his grief. Grant hesitated, then reached into his pocket with shaking hands. He pulled out Ethan's small blue hoodie. Max's nose twitched. His ears shot forward. His entire posture changed from calm to laser-focused. The girl whispered, "He found the trail." People in the diner turned, watching silently. A couple stood up. Someone gasped. Grant felt hope flare inside him for the first time in 2 days. "Are you sure?" he whispered. Max nudged the hoodie again, then barked loudly, urgently, tugging toward the door. The girl nodded firmly. "He knows where your boy is." Officer Grant didn't hesitate anymore. "Take me," he said. And Max lunged forward, ready to lead the way. Max shot out of the diner the moment Officer Grant opened the door, nose glued to the ground, pulling so hard the girl had to jog to keep up. Grant followed close behind, heart pounding louder than his footsteps. The dog led them past the busy street, past the gas station where search teams had gathered the day before, and straight toward the outskirts of town, an area every K-9 unit had already searched. "How is this possible?" Grant muttered. But Max wasn't confused. He was certain. He sniffed the curb, then veered sharply into a narrow walking path behind an old warehouse. Grant's pulse spiked. This area was cleared, twice. The girl shook her head. Not by Max. Max suddenly stopped, nose pressed to a patch of disturbed dirt, tail stiff, then another sharp pull. He dragged them toward the chain-link fence at the edge of the woods. Grant crouched down and froze. Tiny footprints. Ethan's size. His breath caught. He was here. Max barked once short and urgent, then plunged into the thick woods, weaving through trees like he'd been there before. Grant fought through branches, stumbling after him. "Please, Max," he whispered. "Don't lose the trail now." But Max didn't slow. Something ahead had captured his full attention. And whatever it was, they were getting closer. Max pushed deeper into the woods, his body low, nose locked onto a scent only he could understand. Officer Grant's legs burned as he ran after him, branches snapping under his boots, fear rising with every step. Suddenly Max stopped. Not gradually, not slowly. He froze like a statue. Grant's heart slammed against his ribs. "Max? What is it?" The dog didn't bark. He only stared ahead, tail stiff, ears pointing toward a small clearing hidden behind a fallen tree. Grant moved closer, dread curling in his stomach. Then he saw it. Ethan's backpack torn, muddy, and half buried beneath leaves. One strap ripped. The superhero keychain Ethan loved dangled weakly in the wind. Grant dropped to his knees, gripping the backpack with shaking hands. "Ethan." "Oh, God." The little girl knelt beside him. "Max led us here for a reason." As if on cue, Max growled a deep warning growl that made the trees seem to tremble. He stepped protectively in front of them, eyes fixed on something farther ahead. A faint sound drifted through the woods. A whimper. A cry. So soft it almost vanished under the rustling branches. Grant's breath caught. "That's him," he whispered. "That's my boy." And Max was already moving faster than ever toward the source of the sound. Max tore through the trees like a bolt of lightning, weaving between branches with single-minded determination. Officer Grant sprinted behind him, lungs burning, heart hammering with every desperate step. "Ethan! Ethan, buddy, answer me!" he shouted. Then Max skidded to a stop beside a small, abandoned shack, covered in vines and rotting wood. His bark exploded through the forest, sharp, urgent, commanding. Grant rushed forward and yanked the warped door open. His world stopped. Inside, on the dusty floor, sat Ethan, hands tied, face streaked with tears, trembling but alive. The moment he saw his father, he sobbed, "Daddy." Grant fell to his knees, ripping the ropes apart, pulling Ethan into his arms so tightly it hurt. Tears streamed down his face. "I'm here, son. I'm here." But Max wasn't celebrating. He spun around, placing himself between the family and the shadows behind the shack. His fur bristled, his growl sharpened. A figure emerged. The kidnapper. Before the man could take a single step, Max lunged, knocking him flat into the dirt, holding him down with terrifying precision. The little girl gasped. Grant grabbed the man's wrists, cuffing him with shaking hands. "Max!" he whispered, voice breaking. "You saved my son." The forest stood silent, stunned by what the dog had just done. The forest lit up with flashing lights as officers poured into the clearing. Paramedics rushed to check Ethan, while others dragged the handcuffed kidnapper away. Officer Grant sat in the grass, holding his son tight, refusing to let go. Max finally relaxed, panting heavily, his tail thumping weakly against the dirt. The little girl hurried over and wrapped her arms around him. "You did it, Max? I knew you could." Grant looked up at her, tears in his eyes. "Honey, how did your dog do what trained K9 units couldn't?" The girl hesitated, then knelt beside Max, stroking his fur. "He's not a police dog." "Not yet." She took a soft breath. "I trained him myself." Grant's brows lifted. "You trained him?" She nodded. "After I lost my brother last year, Max was the only one who helped me. When I realized he could sense emotions, fear, danger, sadness, I started teaching him to follow it. He saved me. And today, he saved your son." Grant looked at Max with awe, emotion choking his voice. "You're a hero, buddy. A real one." Days later, the town gathered at the police station. Max was awarded a Medal of Bravery, the crowd cheering as the little girl hugged him proudly. Ethan whispered, "I prayed someone would find me." And Max did. And from that day forward, the dog, who wasn't even a K9, became the town's greatest hero.